Hello. Welcome to a presentation on how to reconcile grant funding for services and equipment from the Canada Student Grant for Students with Disabilities. This is presented by MyLearningCoach. MyLearningCoach is a third-party service provider that supports post-secondary students across Canada to obtain full access to their learning. Please note, although MyLearningCoach is an approved service provider with Alberta Student Aid, we do not work for Alberta Student Aid. We have, however, supported many students to reconcile their services and equipment grant funding. The information presented in this presentation is information gathered from the Student Aid website and from our experience supporting students to reconcile their grant funding. The Canada Student Grant for Students with Disabilities for Services and Equipment, commonly referred or referenced as CSG-DSE, is often provided to post-secondary students with permanent, persistent, or prolonged disabilities who require services or equipment to fully access and participate in their learning. The CSG-DSE is intended to support exceptional educational-related costs associated with the student's disability. The CSG-DSE covers various forms of equipment or assistive technology that students may require to fully access and participate in their education. Some examples of eligible equipment could include text-to-speech software, lecture recording devices, etc. The CSG-DSE also covers various services students may require to fully access and participate in their education. Some examples of such services could include academic strategy instruction, tutoring, note-taking services, interpreting services, etc. By the end of the study period, you must provide receipts to Alberta Student Aid to show that the services and equipment grant was used for the intended purposes during the study period it was applied for. Any unused or undocumented grant funding must be returned to Alberta Student Aid or it will be deemed overpaid. Overpayment occurs when a student receives funding they were not eligible for. Overpayment can occur for a variety of reasons. For example, if a student drops down below full-time status or withdraws from courses during the funding period they received grant funding for, they may be considered in overpayment. If a student is provided with grant funding for services and equipment and does not provide Alberta Student Aid with receipts to show the grant funding was used for its intended purposes, the grant funding may also be considered as overpayment. When an overpayment is identified, undispersed or future student aid funding may be cancelled or reduced. Reconciling the provided Canada Student Grant for Students with Disabilities for Services and Equipment involves two parts. First, submitting receipts for the services and equipment to Alberta Student Aid. Then, if applicable, returning unaccounted for funding to Alberta Student Aid. If you have used all of the CSG-DSE as it was intended, then you will only need to submit your receipts. You only need to return the funding if you do not have receipts to show that it was used as intended. Okay, well, let's show you how to reconcile your grant funding. The first step is to head over to the Alberta Student Aid website, studentaid.alberta.ca. Once you have navigated to the Alberta Student Aid website, you will need to log in to your Student Aid account. You may be required to enter your social insurance number to validate your student information. Once you have validated your social insurance number, you will be brought to the main page that shows your current and previous student aid applications. On the right side of the screen, you will see an area to upload required documents to Alberta Student Aid. Click Upload Documents. You will then be prompted to upload e-documents to Alberta Student Aid. A few things to note here. Be sure to follow the submission instructions on each form. It is really important you do not submit password-protected documents. Alberta Student Aid will not be able to open these documents, and thus they will not be able to access the receipts you are submitting. This can delay future funding applications for you. If you wish to view previously uploaded documents, click on the e-Documents History button. To begin uploading your documents, click on Start e-Documents Upload. Under Upload e-Documents, you will be required to provide information on the documents that you will be uploading. You will need to select a reason for document submission from a drop-down menu. Select Submit Disability Receipts. Once you have selected Submit Disability Receipts as the reason for the document submission, you will need to select the application ID associated with your documents. Using the drop-down menu, select the application ID you are submitting the receipts for. It is really important you select the correct funding application ID. If you select the incorrect application funding ID, it is likely Alberta Student Aid will not process your receipts, and thus you may end up in overpayment. To upload your receipt, click on the Select File for Upload. Once you have uploaded your saved receipt, you can click Next. Lastly, once you have uploaded your receipt, you will need to click Confirm e-Documents Upload to finalize the upload. Please note, if you click on the e-Documents History tab, you will be able to see all of the previous e-documents uploaded to your account. It's always a good idea to review this once in a while. You will need to submit payment for the unused funds to Alberta Student Aid by using one of the following options. You can pay online via your bank account by using the Payee Grant Alberta Student Aid and referencing your Alberta student number. You also have the option to mail a check or money order for unused funds to Alberta Student Aid. Information on how to do that can be found on the grant distribution letter provided to you from Student Aid. Most students send the funds via online banking. Congratulations! You made it through our presentation. We hope this presentation served as a support for you to reconcile your disability grant funding with Alberta Student Aid. Our mission at MyLearningCoach is to ensure post-secondary students have full access to an equitable education. We provide educational services that empower students and support post-secondary students to reach their full academic aspirations. If you would like to learn more about the role we play in ensuring education is accessible for all, or to discover how we can support you in your own academic journey, please reach out via email, via our website, or on social media. From the entire team at MyLearningCoach, thank you for watching.